This is a video tutorial on how to insert a Hela coil. So this is a power steering pump bracket off of a Taurus. So what happens is when you put this bolt in and the power steering bracket goes right there, somebody either over torqued this bolt and stripped out the bolts to the point where the bracket's just going to be hanging like this. Eventually it's going to fall off and then your serpentine belt is going to come off. Or somebody left it loose and it caused play, and either way damaged the bolts, the threads inside. So what you have to do is get a Hela coil inserted in there to replace or rebuild the bolts in there, the threads, rebuild the threads in there. Okay, so you want it to ideally look like this one right here. See how nice and clean those threads are right there. So so the way you do that is, by the way, I'm not in a shop, I'm in my backyard, so you do what you can. But the way we do that is, well, I don't have a workbench, so what I did is I chained up the power steering bracket to a tree. And so this is the bolt right here that originally goes into it. So I measure it. You can go to a parts place and they will measure the bolt for you. There's the bolt, they'll measure it for you. And here's the Hela coil. So in this case, it's gonna be a 10-1.5, M10-1.5. So this is it right here, okay? So this is the Hela coil. You have to, ideally, if you have a kit, a drill bit kit, you want a bit that's a little bit smaller than the outside diameter of this right here. So in this case, if my Hela coil insert is about that size, okay, I want something that's gonna be a little bit tiny smaller than that, not much smaller, okay, a little bit tiny smaller than that, okay. And then I'm gonna take my die and run it in there, okay. Now I didn't have the bit, so what I did is I just kind of like eyeballed it, and I got this bit right here, this Dremel bit, and I hooked it up to a drill. It just pretty much, if you can see it, okay, there it is. And this, I carved away inside the wall in there, okay. So what I did was put this in there like so. Now if this bit right here starts to spin, it spins and it's not going in, then all you're doing is just carving out the hole even bigger in there, okay. So you need to go back and probably put a slightly bigger drill bit in there, or bore out that hole a little bit more. And you want it so this eventually screws in there. When you screw it in there, when it starts to grab, you'll see it start to go in. And what you'll do is, just can't get a focus on this. Let me see. Okay, there we go. So it'll start to grab and it'll just spin. It won't go nowhere. So we'll go to a bigger size, and then eventually you'll see it start to go in, and you'll feel some friction in there. You have to make sure that you get this straight in, because if you're going kind of crooked, then your hole is going to be crooked and you're going to damage the sidewalls and you're going to cause more problems. So you want to go straight in as possible. Not too much left, not too much right, not too much up, not too much down. You want to go in as straight as possible, and then you'll go in, you'll feel it kind of grab, start to carve away at the surface, at the steel, the aluminum, whatever it is that you're trying to put the insert in. So you can see right here in the beginning I messed up, okay. So you go in, it kind of grabs, then you go back, okay, go back a quarter of a turn or a turn, and go in again. It starts to grab, go a little bit, then go back, okay. Then go in again. So once you're in about 3-4 threads, me personally, you can do as many as you want. What I do is I take this out, okay, and I'm gonna clean it out. I'm gonna take this pick, and I'm gonna try to grab any loose threads that are in there, okay. And I'm gonna take this brush right here, and if you got any air, you can blow some air in there, or if you got a vacuum, and just clean this out. Try to get all that dirt, try to get it as clean as possible in there. Okay, so in my case, I got this vacuum. Okay, and as you can see, I may not get it all perfect, but as long as you get the majority of the surface. So we're working with probably my surface that I'm working with is probably about that long right here, about this long, and so far I've gone in with the dye about this much. So if I mess up from here to here, it's okay, because I'm still have all this to work with when I get the bolt in there. Okay, so what we want is we want to get this, and you can get the tool at the store, but I don't want to buy the whole kit. The whole kit costs about 50 bucks, but I got this at AutoZone, and it comes like 10 of them, and for like 8-9 bucks. So what you want to do is be able to get that Hela coil in there like that, and just thread it in once you're done with the tool. Now you can see that it just dropped right in there, because remember I messed up, I told you I messed up the holes. So with the tool I would be able to spin it like this and just insert it in there. So I don't have that tool, so what I'll do is I'll use a pair of needle nose, and I'll get it in as close as possible at first, and then I'll take it back out, and then what I'll do, some of this high temperature, I'll take some of this high temperature thread lock and let it dry, and that should hold it in place. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 in there, so one in front of the other, so that way it completes that surface. And you can break this tabs off right here, okay. And then once it's dry, and I let it give time to dry, then I'll put my bolt in, and it should hold it in place. Okay, so again, it's important that, see, I'm taking out the insert right now. There it is. So it's important, what I'll do is I'll put 2 together like this. When I put it in there, if I break this little tab off of here, eventually they'll both sit in there like that, straight, and then I'll put my bolt. It will have the Loctite. It's going to dry, preventing it from moving, and I'll put my bolt in there. So the main thing is being patient, making sure that your tap goes in there as straight as possible. I'm spinning it where it stops, and I still got another 1/2 inch to go. And what I'm gonna do right here, I can feel it grabbing, and it's pretty straight right there. I can eyeball it, I can see it's pretty straight. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spray some WD-40 in there, or penetrating oil. Okay, and I don't have a tool for this tap, so I'm gonna go back and forth, back and forth, so I feel resistance. Okay, there's the resistance. I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna go back and go forward. There's the resistance, back and forth, back and forth. See, now I'm getting a little bit more of a turn. If I had both hands, it'd be a lot easier. And what it's doing is cutting into that surface. It's cutting new threads in there for my Hela coil. And when I take it out, you know, of course I want to go deeper than that. I can see some of the material. Well, I can't really see much because I really didn't go that deep, but you'll see that material build up on here. Clean it up with a brush, blow it out, clean up in there with air, blow it out, and then put it back in, and then start all over. Make sure you put some oil in there so it gets easier for it to cut. This is cutting in there. And once it stops in there, it doesn't go any further, and you eyeball it, it can't go any further, then you put your Hela coil in. Okay? Hope you find this helpful, and please hit the like button. If you have any questions, then just comment below. Thanks for watching.